what if I told you I had a way I could shove 5 pepper plants into a tiny space? Or how about if I sat there and told you that using 2 tomato cages, you could sit there and grow both watermelon and cantaloupes, again, in a pretty small space? Well, guess what? I'm about to show you how to do that. And guess what? It might all seem crazy, but it works. I've done it. So I want to share it with you guys, and hopefully, maybe it'll help somebody. And best part, it doesn't matter what your physical abilities are, because both of them can be done by anybody. Let me show you. Here's the trellis that I was talking to you guys about. And all it is 2 tomato cages inserted inside of each other. But what I use for, so this rod here, that's like a stabilizing rod just to keep it upright. But what I had been doing is, you can see here, using string to tie it together. And it worked for about 2 years without me having to redo it. But over winter, it just finally failed. So today we are just going ahead and zip tying it to make it back into the shape that I need it to be in, and then sitting it on top of the wicking bed right here so that I can plant my seeds in and they can stay where they need to be. Now that we've got this trellis all zip tied up, the next step is to go ahead and sit it in the center of this wicking bed. And then you're seeing me take a post, and then I'm kind of trying to weave it in between all of the different hoops. That way it adds a little bit of rigidity and helps stake it down so that it doesn't get blown over. Once the watermelon and the cantaloupes are all growing on there and starting to produce fruit, it actually makes it a more stable base than it is initially, which once it's done right here, it's pretty stable. It won't move in high winds, and I can still harvest my onions easily without getting in the way of the watermelon and cantaloupe once they're actually growing on here. It might seem a little fiddly, but once it's done, it's not so bad. So here it is, put together, installed, and ready for me to go ahead and plant my watermelon and cantaloupe. So basically I would do the same thing as if I was in ground and I wanted to vertically trellis this, but yeah. And it's pretty stable. The stick goes all the way down to the bottom of the wicking bed. And then because it's basically wide at both ends, it really doesn't matter which way up you do it. It's just whichever way works best for you, and install it. So what I'll be doing next is, not in this video, right now today we're just setting things up, but I would go ahead and plant watermelon and then cantaloupe, and then let them both come up each side until they are at the top. Now it's time to plant my peppers. Now this might sound crazy, but I'm about to put 5, yes I said 5 peppers into this one wicking tub. It's not all that big. I could have probably used the bigger ones, but trust me, it'll work. I've done more. So first thing we're gonna do is check to see how much water is in this reservoir. So all I do is take this stick and drop it down. So we got a good amount of water. This thermometer. So let me show you exactly which varieties of peppers I'm growing this year. So this year we're doing red picnic pepper, Cherokee Belle, early sensation, and then 2 of these just sweet peppers. And that's the layout that I'm doing for this year. I know for a fact the Cherokee Belle and this Early Sensation are going to be tall plants. The Red Picnic can get pretty tall too, so it shouldn't worry about sunlight or nothing like that. It's just these 2 just sweets. I'm not exactly sure how tall these are going to get, but I figure if I do 3 in the back, 2 in the front, sunlight should not be a problem throughout the growing season. I'm going to show you guys what I do when I plant these peppers, but I'm only going to do 1 because after that it's just monotonous. So let me set you up and we'll get the planting. So again, this is the Early Sensation. Excuse me. Allergies are starting to get to me. I've already took my allergy meds and everything too, and I'm still sneezing. All right. Soil looks good. I have already added fertilizer earlier in the spring. Basically in, I think it was March. But since I'm packing so much into this, wicking bed, I want to make sure that I add extra fertilizer. So there's organic granular, add a little bit more. Next will be a little bit of bone meal. And then lastly, what we're going to add, my own homemade worm castings. A good heaping of that. All right. And then your typical mixing it in, stir it up. And believe it or not, I have worms living in here. They make it through the winter in this somehow, some way. And there are actually worms in there. All right, now we'll pop this sucker out. Boom. Decent root ball, not too, root bound. We're gonna spread them apart a little bit. There we go. And now we're planted. And that's it. So let me go ahead and get the rest of these put in here, and then we will water them in, and I also give them a liquid fertilizer feed since they haven't had anything except for worm castings as food this whole time. Now here we have it, all 5 pepper plants planted into this wicking tub. I tend to just take some of these labels here and then take the labels off of the pots and then just stick those to them. It doesn't really need to know exactly which ones are here, and even if the labels come off, it's no big deal because I'll probably end up just taking them out later on anyway. So we're going to go ahead and water now, then I will come back with the liquid organic fertilizer, which is AgroThrive. To be 100% transparent, I am an affiliate of AgroThrive, and I have a link for it in the description if you want to give it a try. And of course, if you guys purchase, it helps me out a little bit since I'm not monetized here on YouTube, but you don't have to feel, like it's required. Just figured I'd throw it out there. But it is an awesome fertilizer. They have 2. One of them is a general purpose, which is a 333, and then the other one is a fruit and flower, which is a 352, I believe. So either one works. Right now, since this is the beginning, I'm just going to use the general purpose for these guys for right now. Now this isn't required because this is a wicking bed. It's just the same thing I would do for anything going into pots or the ground or my raised bed. I just naturally do this. So I'm gonna get rid of the rest of this fertilizer by fertilizing my garlic that's over here, and then I'll come back through with just plain water to rinse off the leaves just to make sure that they don't get burned or nothing like that. And we are done, ladies and gentlemen. Okay guys, that's about all I got for you guys today. We had a trellis for the watermelons and the cantaloupes, and then I showed you my typical way of planting out my peppers. So I'm hoping it's getting to be that time for all of you, and for those of you further north than me, get ready because it'll be here before you know it, and then you'll be in the same spot as I am. So for now, I'm your boy, Big Wheel Dog 82 in the soil, and I'm out of here.